Actually, right now, I'm standing in front of a guy who looks like he's been shot in the head, maybe a graze. It looks like he's been shot. He's spitting out blood, maybe more of than graze. But there's a firefight right now going on around the ministry. We're seeing people dragged away, and we're seeing the surge. Protesters keep surging the ministry.
All morning we've been saying how these protests have been much more peaceful than yesterday. Can you take us back and tell us how this turned so ugly?
Well, the protests by and large have been peaceful when the police aren't around. But right now the Ministry of Interior is kind of like an Alamo, and the police have it surrounded. That's their last stand. So the protesters still see them as representing the government. So they're trying to push towards the Interior Ministry.
And who's inside the building and who's outside the building?
Well, right now they have an area cordoned off around the Interior Ministry. You can only get about as far as maybe a block or as close as a block away. They have people shooting down the side street, so we're unable to push any closer without the threat of being shot ourselves.
And who is actually doing the shooting? Who's armed?
It is the police, the Ministry of Interior, the police. The Army has taken the control of the city, but the police are still surrounding the Ministry of Interior now.
And does it seem as though the protesters in the crowd, were they given any warning? From what we understand, anyone who is still on the street after the curfew is going to be treated as a criminal. Was there any warning that went out?
Well, I can tell you this. There's tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 people on the street right now. So I don't think they can really enforce that curfew. But I can tell you the Ministry of Interior, I've been around there almost all day off and on, and the protesters have tried to charge it multiple times. Actually, this morning at 8:30, we heard gunshots and tear gas being fired at protesters. Made our way over there, and even early this morning, they were still making runs at the Interior Ministry.
Do the protesters, as we look at these pictures, they're holding up signs saying "Mubarak leave." They're lighting pictures on fire. Do they seem more emboldened to you today?
Oh, definitely. Today is the largest demonstration, the largest protest, the most people I've seen in the street so far. Starting from the 25th, every day it just seems like it grew larger and larger. And there's rumors flying around that Mubarak is going to leave soon. There's rumors are flying around about the National Democratic Party. So that's definitely emboldening the protesters. They definitely feel like they are making ground. Near the Ministry of Interior, we have and at itself, we have a few thousand who are away from the bigger mob, but these areas are very close, and that mob is making a push, continuing pushing towards the Ministry of Interior, even though there seems to be live fire shot at them. And
as we've been on the air, as you've been talking with us, have you heard any more gunfire?
Oh yes, I'm surprised you can't hear it because it's so loud and it's so frequent. You're hearing it continuously in the background, the thud of gunshots and of tear gas.
And are people screaming? I mean, can you just take us there a little bit closer? I mean, if you can tell us sort of what the scene is. I mean, is anybody else being shot? You described that one man who it looked like you said had been grazed in the head and was even spitting up blood.
Yeah, actually, since I told you that, I saw another man who was also spitting up blood as he was being dragged away. The protesters are shouting. They're walking towards the Ministry of Interior. They're staying a certain distance. They keep pushing, surging forward, but they're yelling, and they're not backing down by any means.
And do the protesters seem armed, or is it still just the police firing, as you said? And if so, how are the police able to maintain their presence there if the military has taken over?
Well, the protesters aren't armed. Maybe with rocks and sticks, but definitely not with any firearms. But then we have. The Army has taken control of the city, but really the Interior Ministry is still controlled by the police. That is their That is their headquarters. If that falls, then, you know, for as many the protesters would say, that would be like a checkmate. That is the last almost outpost of the police presence in Cairo.
And does the situation seem to be worsening? I mean, I can hear the shouting behind you. Where are you in relation to the crowd and the Interior Ministry?
Oh, hold on a second. They're surging away. I'm running away. It looks like the police are making a surge, and the protesters are scattering everywhere. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Where are you running to? And I was just going to ask you if the situation seems to be getting worse. It sounds like yes. Yes,
the situation getting worse. It looks like they fired, but the protesters, they scattered, regrouped, and now they're pushing back.